Greetings everyone, my name is Jesse, this is the Auditorium, I react to video game music for the first time, and today's the return of Donkey Kong Country. It's been a while, and we have a single song today called the Ice Cave Chant, otherwise known as the Ice Cavern Ice Cave, from the channel Joe's VGM Party. This is requested by, well, nobody actually, but thank you to PNDKetchup. And I learned something today, pretty important, that I had no idea. This is composed by Evelyn Novakovic. I was under the impression that David Wise was all Donkey Kong, but not only was he not by himself, but there was also Robin Beanland, and I just did a game that involved Robin Beanland called Killer Instinct, so it must be a rare thing. So I learned a lot. Okay, well, by the sounds of this, sounds like an ice level. Yeah, let's get into it. I love everything I've heard from Donkey Kong, seriously, but I've never heard anything that wasn't, at least to my knowledge, nothing that wasn't David Wise. So it's gonna be very interesting to hear that, someone else's approach to it. I'm excited, because what I know of DKC music is like it's kind of chill and it's got this cool beat every now and then. But let's see. This is the Ice Cave Chant from Donkey Kong Country. First thing I thought of as soon as that melody started was like an igloo or something. Sounds very Christmas-y a little bit. Melody. It's the descending chord pattern. It's kind of like it's like a pooling effect. Like the chords are going down. So is the melodies going down too, but like the melodies feels like it would be going up and sounds cheerful. Like the melody's bright, but the chords aren't. It's a very short loop. Yeah, it straight up sounds like a winter wonderland. Igloos. I can't get igloo out of my head for some reason. I just realized my last VGM Vibes episode had Donkey Kong, and it was like lava. So we've gone to the other side of these games. This is a earworm. Here it comes. That. I feel like if you hear that one time, it's stuck in your head forever. And imagine you grew up playing that. Yeah, that can get stuck in your head. So, a very interesting ordeal I have here. I've not heard much DKC, let alone Nintendo stuff. I always confuse which one is 1 or 2. I've definitely heard... At this point, I don't know if I've heard more Donkey Kong Country 1 or 2 than more than the other. I think I've heard more 2. But I was confused which one is which, so I don't know at the top of my head which Donkey Kong Country 1 songs I've heard. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't just look it up. But like I said, up until now, I just assumed the whole thing was David Wise. So that brought a new interesting flavor to it that I wasn't expecting. And I also think it's kind of funny that the last time I talked about Donkey Kong, we were talking on the other side of this biome spectrum, because we were talking about heat and lava and fire, and we had a hothead bop with that one. Now we're, in the ice sections. Actually, Donkey Kong was also in my first episode, with the forest video. So, there's a lot of locations that Donkey Kong music goes. Anyways. So one thing, this is a question for people that played both games, Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. Mostly 1, if you played 1. I'm assuming, I don't know how this works, I never composed the game, but I'm assuming all the composers that were involved in this game, which I now know is at least 3 different people, I'm assuming they all had the same equipment at the time. And I don't know if those are consistent of MIDI controllers or actual keyboards, whatever the case may be. So I wonder if they did, because I think it would be very cool to hear 3 different composers with the same exact, utilization of tools, to see if you can hear maybe a distinct style between them. I think that'd be a really cool idea, because up until a couple seconds ago, I just thought like DKC was like David Wise's thing. But now I have to go make sure about number 2 as well, because I have no idea. And then the whole Robin Beanland thing. I don't. As far as I know, I don't think I've heard a Robin Beanland song from Donkey Kong Country. I just know he's involved. But the timing of seeing that is so weird, because I just did a Killer Instinct song. And even though that song wasn't his either, he's still associated with KI. And they're both rare games, so I'm starting to see the correlations here. Anyways, I feel like if I didn't know that this was a different composer than David Wise, I don't think I would have questioned it. Because it sounds to me like the same sound font. It sounds like that kind of whimsical, kind of, like, I guess, Nintendo style of song from the 90s. It just has this almost cartoon characteristic to it. Yeah, it's very catchy and very impressive. It sounds very ahead of its time, and very much a fitting piece. For example, Hothead Bop, I could tell if I heard that blind and I did not know what game it came from, there's a good chance I would have guessed that it's something volcanic, because of the bubbles, and it sounds like steam, and it has a hot sound to it. A lot of the Donkey Kong Country music seems really fitting to their location. One song I really love, I think it's my favorite song, is Mining Melancholy. And that also sounds like it belongs there. It sounds like, sound of metal getting hit, and the sound of, that scenery. This sounds like ice. So, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more, because as I'm working on this ice-related video, this is kind of perfect, to put it lightly. And I think I could be wrong about this. I never played this game, but I think what Donkey Kong Country does is that they have worlds and then stages within those worlds. And some of those stages kind of repeat the backgrounds, and then just like the platforming changes. So my question is there other ice music in this game? Or is it just like one specific ice background and then just the song plays over and over? That's my main thing. But But the main question I'm curious about is the technical side of it, which is funny because I've spoken to David before. We follow each other on Twitter, and you think I would just like go and ask them, but I don't bother him at all. There's no way I would even like, you know. But it is very interesting to me, the idea of everyone having the same tools, and now hearing more different inspirations and different composition styles. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, Donkey Kong Country, DK. Oh, and there's also. Oh no, never mind. I thought the Diddy's Conquest was a different game, but I think that's 2, right? Oh man, I have all these questions, and this is the time my phone's charging, and I don't have access to me. Either way, just assume, which is also true, that I know nothing about Donkey Kong Country. So like, yeah, I would just want to know all these things. Speaking, by the way, before I get out of here, speaking of ahead of its time, I remember seeing footage of this game when it came out, and I remember it looked so advanced, and it was a cartridge. You know, it looked like it was beyond the like any other like Nintendo game at the time. It looked so advanced to me. Just thought I would share that. It always stuck out to me because of how it looked, and apparently how it sounds. So again, thank you to PNDKetchup. Thank you to all my requesters here on Patreon. I cannot be here without them. Thanks to you for watching. My name is Jesse. Take it easy.